Thank you for joining us today on 10 Minutes with the Artist, an episodic series that explores the art practice and the personal vision that guides artists. On today's episode, we're very proud to have Shelby Steidl, who exhibited her recent artworks from the series Colossal at North Dakota State University's Memorial Union Gallery for the 2016 Baccalaureate Exhibition. Colossal is a series of large-scale photographic depictions of Midwestern skies that emphasize bold and evocative colors. Her series distills space and a transitional event, sunsets, into an examination of how colors can stimulate, excite, depress, tranquilize, or influence a mood. I'm Anthony Ferris, and this is 10 Minutes with the Artist. Shelby, thank you so very much for joining us for 10 Minutes with the Artist. So your artist statement talks about Midwestern skies. I was curious how important place was to sort of experiencing and understanding your work.
When dealing with sunsets, you have to have a specific horizon line, so I would focus on locations that had just nothing but trees in the distance, so then you can just focus on the colors. So location does play a specific and important role in each of my pieces.
And this is sort of a difficult question to answer because you're not in a different place, but do you think that you would have created this body of work if you weren't living in the Midwest?
Definitely not, because I have traveled to different places, and certain places such as the mountains and places with hills, it's really hard to see the sun setting and you can't see the colors as well. So I feel that if maybe an ocean, yes, but definitely not where there's mountains.
Okay. And so when we're thinking about color, I'm thinking about sort of printing colors. There's a lot of variations in colors in printing from one printer to the next. So how important is sort of precision and truthfulness to your interpretation of how you saw color?
Well, with our printers at school, we color calibrate them so they match exactly what's on my computer when I take it. But when I use my camera to take the picture, obviously the colors aren't true to it, so I have to go back and think about what the colors actually look like and how I saw them, which is very vibrant. And so when I would take it in from my camera, it would be completely different, and then with a little tweaks and edits, it was what I saw.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of funny to think about photography as a device to sort of capture that truthfulness of the experience, but since the colors can vary, you have to rely really on just something that's, not necessarily precise like your memory, but anyway, that's pretty interesting.
Yep.
So this is almost a reinterpretation of a sunset, okay?
Yep.
Can you talk about some of the choices that you made in presenting the work sort of as a vibrant colors, as something that's more abstract, and even on its side? You made a lot of choices when you were deciding to display the work.
Yep. I first wanted to focus on colors, and when I think of colors, I think of sunsets, because when the sun goes down, every sunset is different. So there's blues and oranges and purples, pinks. There's so many different colors. And so when I was working with my pictures, I had to remove the immediate reaction of a sunset, because when you see a horizontal landscape with trees and ground and stuff in the distance, and then there's the colors, everyone just thinks, oh, that's a sunset. And I kind of wanted to remove that from my viewers, and just so they could focus on the field of color. And so I removed the ground and the trees and then flipped it vertically, so the colors were in the main focus and it wasn't the horizontal sunset. So you would look at it in a vertical way, and you would just focus on the field of color and have it kind of wash over you.
Okay. Color can be very personal in a way. And I was wondering why, like going back to that idea of photography as sort of truthfulness, like documenting something that is true. When I'm thinking about like sort of personal interpretation of color, I think that painting would be a really good way to sort of experience that and present that. So why did you choose photography?
I chose photography so I had the chance to explore outside because I don't like to be kept in a studio for long. I like to be able to go on walks, go hiking, biking, like to explore what God has created, I guess. And it's just nice because you get outside and the fresh air, the crisp, even if it's really cold out, it's still like the crisp, fresh air. You can kind of just taste it. It's just nice to be outside.
Are there some sort of photographers that you can think of that sort of influenced your style of shooting, or has your work sort of developed to just a very personal vision and thinking of photography in a different way?
It's just been very personal. I haven't really looked at a lot of photographers. I've looked at more painters such as Rothko, and then I've also looked at James Turrell's work and how he just uses colors in space to make a person think more.
Mm-hmm.
So just something, it's just personal.
Well, the colors in your work are separated almost like wavelengths of light. In a way, they're like set in these like linear bands, and there's not a lot of mixture of color. When you step back, you take a look at it, and they sort of, there is some blending. But when you get closer, you realize that these are separated by tones and hues and saturation. So can you talk about why these colors don't mix?
The colors don't necessarily mix directly because when you look at a sunset, you'll see the blue and then it'll change to orange, and it doesn't blend as smoothly as it would in a sunset. So I just recreated that in a way, and then the vertical line that goes straight through it is either a really intense cloud or a jet line that just happened to be in the sky that I wanted to really bring out in my pieces and bring to my viewers.
Okay. These are sunsets, but as you mentioned, they're all different.
Yep.
Right? And I'm kind of curious how you can account for how different the mood is of each of the pieces.
Yep. Each photograph was taken at a different place, a different location, and a different time throughout the last probably year. So early 2015, I started taking pictures of these sunsets, and they've just evolved over time. And when you look outside, I don't feel that any sunset is the same. There's always different clouds, different jet lines, everything is different. And so I wanted to capture that and bring those different colors in because every single person as an individual has a different association towards the same color. So the way turquoise makes me feel, it might not make you feel the same way. You might associate it with something completely different. And so I just wanted to bring those different associations so that my viewers can make their own.
Okay. I understand this sort of color theory aspect, but there's also, you keep on mentioning sunset. And is the sunset a metaphor for something, or is it just simply the bearer of, color?
I guess I don't really understand your question.
I guess I'm just kind of curious with, is the sunset important as like an event, or is it just simply just there and you just used it for its color?
I used it as kind of an escape because when you walk outside, you kind of have an immediate reaction to stop and look if the sun's going down, especially if it's bright and vibrant. So it gives the person and myself time to just stop and reflect on my day and how it was, and kind of is an escape from my stressful daily life, and you take a moment for yourself.
Okay, absolutely. At the end of these interviews, we like to ask a few questions just sort of about your sort of your personal practice as an artist. So what time of day do you feel like you are most creative?
I'm most creative. With my photography and exploring around dusk and nighttime, I really like going outside and taking pictures at night. And then technologically, it's definitely in the morning after I've kind of woken up and I can remain focused and it's easier for me. But then once I'm lost in the clouds throughout half my day, I like to be outside and explore.
Okay. And do you listen to music or anything like that when you're photographing?
I listen to music when I edit, but when I'm outside, I like to listen to the trees blowing, the airplanes flying over, dogs barking. Sometimes.
Yeah. Just keep going with your list, Shelby.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I don't know. I appreciate nature and everything that it's given to me. So.
Okay. And is there anything that you're reading right now?
I'm reading the book Red.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about actually a girl who's wanting to be a photographer, and she starts hanging out with this guy who is a photographer. So it kind of is. I don't know. It's interesting. It's really long. It's 64 chapters. So if you want to read it, I recommend it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And I guess sort of what's next for you?
What's next? Well, I currently just packed up my apartment, and I'm moving to Rochester on Saturday, and I'm going to be the assistant director of the Rochester Arts Center.
All right. Well, congratulations, Shelby. And I'd like to thank our guest, Shelby, and I'd like to thank you all for your time and your interest in the professional practice and the creative explorations happening here at North Dakota State University. So thank you, and for everyone here at the Memorial Union Gallery, keep creative.
Thank you, Anthony.